I'm in studio with Anya Parampil. Anya Parampil is a journalist based in Washington, D.C., and a contributor to The Gray Zone. She has produced and reported several documentaries, including on-the-ground reports from Korean Peninsula, Palestine, Venezuela, and Honduras. You know, I don't have the name right in front of me, but somebody sent us, I think it was on Rockfin, they said they'd already pre-ordered your book.
Oh my gosh, really? I mentioned it on the Convo Couch today for the first time.
Well, mention it again for the second time.
It's Corporate Coup. It should be out early next year. It's available for pre-order on Amazon. It's compiling all of my reporting on Venezuela, but using Venezuela, the case of Venezuela and the failed coup there to analyze U.S. hybrid war tactics more broadly. So I get into economic war tactics, media war, diplomatic war, and then dirty war, covert war, whether that's the Bay of Piglets invasion and other less traditional forms of warfare that the United States uses to target its enemies. And I get into Venezuela because I had so much personal experience there, and I share personal stories as well. So I think that's why I've been pretty much MIA for the past year. One of the reasons. So very, very excited and looking forward to having that come
Okay,
out.
what's the name of the book again?
Corporate Coup.
Corporate Coup. Add it to her bio. Okay, so we have that going on. All right, so let me go ahead and start this. You know what I'm going to talk about. I gave you a little bit of heads up. So here we go. My first thing that I want to chat about. So I was a teacher for over 20 years. I don't even want to tell you how long. All right. And I know a lot of people.
Thank you for your service.
Oh my God. I had a woman tell me recently, that's so funny. Thank you for my service. Jeez.
It really is. You're doing service.
Yeah. I didn't see it that way.
To the society you are.
All right. You're very sweet. I know. I didn't feel that I was doing a service for society. I really just felt like I wanted to like make a difference into students' lives. Like I wanted to engage them and connect them with literature and make the English class exciting for them. Because when I was in high school, one of my teachers, I think it was my freshman year teacher, and no, it was 10th grade. And she introduced herself. She goes, "Hello. It's good to be here at Troy High School, and I'll be your instructor. I'm Mrs. Cedar." And what Mrs. Cedar had done was at the beginning of the year, for some reason, she had her mouth wired shut. And I was like, this is perfect comedy. That your teacher is talking like this all the time. Anyways, so
like a Simpsons character.
I did not get my teeth wired shut when I was a teacher. Okay, so this caught me. So AFT, the American Federation of Teachers, Weingarten, and Dr. Erwin Redlener to visit Ukraine to meet with students and teachers displaced by Russia's war. Ukrainian teachers invited American counterparts to hear firsthand from educators doing all that they can to keep kids learning amid heinous attacks on democracy. Okay. American Federation of Teachers President Randy Weingarten will meet this week with you. This is from the press release from AFT. They'll meet with Ukrainian students and teachers displaced by Russia's invasion to offer solidarity and support in the face of relentless attacks that have forced hundreds of thousands of refugees to flee the country's east. The AFT was invited by the Ukrainian Teachers Union, the trade union of education and science workers, to bear witness and call attention to the effects on children, families, and educators and the impact of Russia's attack on democracy and democratic institutions. The Redleners have co-founded the Ukraine Children's Action Project, a new initiative designed to provide urgent mental health and educational support to Ukrainian children who are either refugees in Poland or internally displaced in their own country, all fleeing a humanitarian crisis and barbaric war. The union and the Redleners are also developing an online training for teachers to help them manage children with severe psychological trauma. Dr. Erwin Redlener said the children of Ukraine have become the latest war generation, impacted by a brutal war that they never asked for. Prolonged education disruption and persistent psychological trauma may really impair the ability of many children to fulfill their potential. That's bad news for Ukraine's future. The delegation will report its finding. Now, this is, I'm uncomfortable about this. They will report their finding to representatives of the Global Union Movement, the AFL-CIO, and the State Department. Their findings, they're going to report to the State Department. The AFT and the TUSWU are members of the Global Union Federation Education International. Now, this is what she released, Randi Weingarten released this week. Here we go. Hold on. I think that's me on my computer. I want to bring my volume up. Come on. Come on. Where are we? Hold on. There we go. Finally. I turned it down earlier. Thank you. Technical glitches will live. Here we go. Randi Weingarten. I don't know how long Randi Weingarten has been president of this federation, but it's been easily over 5 years, if not more. Okay, here we go. Randi.
So, we've been in Zamość for the last couple of hours and checking in on the people that we were visiting in Ukraine, in Lviv. And we've made a decision that we're going to go to Lviv and talk to the union leaders there. And
I think you made that decision
that
before
we're not going to let Putin get away with terrorizing people. Putin terrorized people today with this wave of indiscriminate bombings throughout the cities of Ukraine, as he has terrorized people since February. So our trip of solidarity and bearing witness is probably more important today than it was when we planned it. And so the schools are closed. Children are learning remotely or in bunkers right now. But the union leadership wants to meet with us, and we want to meet with them, and so we're on our way to Lviv.
Okay, so I saw that, and first off, I had a reaction, and my reaction was, I found it. I'm troubled that the American Federation Teachers President of that union is in Ukraine doing some. I appreciate the sentiment and wanting to help other educators and other communities and other children. I understand that. I don't understand why she's there. And I'm going to throw it to Anya. Anya, a little closer to your camera, doll. Tell me, what were your thoughts when you saw this? Any reaction?
The first thing I thought was, anyone who's been to an anti-war rally, one of the major chants that I always hear, and I've chanted myself, money for jobs and education, not for war and occupation. And here you have the leader of the U.S. Teachers Union, someone who's supposed to represent U.S. American teachers, actually reversing that, playing a propaganda role that essentially comes out to say money for war and occupation, not for jobs and education. We've spent billions of dollars, not we, but our government has spent billions of dollars on this war in Ukraine, sending weapons to the Ukrainian military at a time when teachers in the United States are protesting budget cuts. After years of teachers getting fired for resisting forced vaccination and mandates in the school system. And I just want to point out that Randi Weingarten and her position as the head of the American Teachers Union has thrown a lot of teachers who fought for their rights during that period under the bus. There's a great organization in New York called Teachers for Choice. I know some of these teachers who lost their jobs, people like Garrett Ramirez, a teacher from the New York school system, and Michael Caine. These are people who were leading the fight to say teachers had the right to do what the control their own bodies, resist these forced vaccinations. And Randi Weingarten actually flip-flopped. Their organization has documented how she flip-flopped on that issue. Why? Because her wife who is a rabbi, was actually appointed to President Joe Biden's International Religious Freedom Commission. And once her wife got this political appointment from the Biden White House, Randi Weingarten just completely gave up on fighting for those teachers, supported the forced vaccination policy, and is now playing a role where, again, why is the head of a U.S. teachers union going to Ukraine? Sure, I'm sympathetic to the children and the teachers caught in the middle of this conflict, whether they're on the Ukrainian side or in the ethnically Russian speaking side. But of course, her report back will be completely one-sided, only speaking with students and teachers on the Ukrainian side of the conflict, and not speaking about these students who've experienced shelling and bombing from U.S. weapons sent by the Ukrainian military in, for example, the Donbas region in the formerly Eastern Territory of Ukraine. So she's not going to speak with those teachers. And I think we actually have a report that we can show, right, Steph, of what those teachers were going through. And I think Randi Weingarten should have, if she was really going to do a fact-finding trip to Ukraine or on this conflict period, then she should have gone to the other side as well. And of course, she won't.
Right. Okay. So you did share this with me. Pro-Russian teachers in Donbass fear reprisals by Ukrainian nationalists. And this is a clip that you shared with me, and I'm going to show it right now. And there are some troubling images near the end, I believe. So here we go.
The battered town of Obezhnoye. I came here to find out if locals are fearful of the Ukrainian army, who have made recent gains not far to the west. A local school in the center of town.
Yes, we are worried. If the Ukrainian army comes here, there will be reprisal against teachers. But our strength is in the hope that it will never happen. I have colleagues whose children happen to be on the other side. They are afraid of coming to work because they are scared for their children and themselves.
Why do you think Ukraine would kill teachers? What's the reasoning behind that?
They say that we are ideological frontline workers and we are involved in Russian propaganda. This is the main thing that teachers are blamed for, but this region is 80% Russian speakers.
Irina, who's lived in this town all her life, tells me that she has heard rumors that teachers have been killed in Kapyansk, a town recently taken by Ukraine. This shocking video was posted online, claiming to be civilians in Kapyansk. It was uploaded by Maxim Zorin, a former member of Ukraine's notorious Azov regiment, although he later altered his post, claiming the video had been taken from a Russian soldier's phone. Now, to my knowledge, this is the only video that has surfaced in this war so far that clearly shows civilians being executed and dumped into a mass grave. Now, this video has been completely ignored by the mainstream media of NATO countries. Why? Because the evidence suggests a strong likelihood that these are Ukrainian soldiers executing pro-Russian civilians. A headline from Britain's Daily Mail newspaper. The article quotes an advisor to Ukraine's Interior Ministry. A hunt has been declared on collaborators, and their life is not protected by law. Our intelligence services are eliminating them, shooting them like pigs. A humanitarian center. The Ukrainian government have not only threatened teachers, but those who distribute or receive humanitarian aid with jail.
We did nothing bad. We tried to help children and elderly people. What did we do? We were giving out aid under shelling.
Anya, you shared this clip with me today, and what are your thoughts and reactions to this?
That is the struggle of teachers in this conflict that Randi Weingarten will never speak about. Let's just really be clear about what those teachers were discussing. They are living under, since 2014, the Maidan coup run by the United States, which overthrew their democratically elected government, under a government which actually banned the teaching of the Russian language. And as that woman pointed out, in a region where 80% of the population speaks Russian, how is it possible that they're not going to conduct their lessons in Russian? And simply doing that was an offense to the government, which now they've broken away from. Surprise, surprise. Why would they want to do that, Steph? I just can't imagine why. And teachers are actually considered Russian collaborators simply for speaking and teaching the language of their people and sharing it with the children. And the evidence that he presented, perhaps, of teachers even being killed and viewed as Russian collaborators simply for teaching their own culture and language to children is far, that situation where they're up against literal Nazis is far, and like the Azov battalion is coming in and massacring people who they consider to be collaborators. That is honestly more jarring than anything I've seen on the other side so far when it comes to teachers and children. The Russian military, I have not seen any evidence that they're targeting teachers and children in such a way. So for Randi Weingarten to go to Ukraine and leave that part out really just reveals that she is playing a propaganda role. She's trying to come back to the United States and report to union leaders a one-sided picture of this conflict. And it's really a gross and cynical perversion of one of the most noble positions teaching anyone can have in this country or elsewhere. And this is just part of Randi Weingarten's way of operating. She has traveled to Israel. She's a major Zionist who sat on stage and met with Netanyahu in an apartheid state because she's pretty much just a functionary of the Democratic Party. And as I said, she's even willing to sell out teachers on behalf of the Biden White House, U.S. American teachers who fought for their own bodily autonomy. So she's a complete fraud. And you brought up, how long has she been the head of the teachers union? I looked it up because I was wondering, because I feel like it's been forever.
Yeah.
Since 2008. 2008. So how is that even appropriate that one person is leading this organization for over 10 years? I mean, she should...
Term limit. There should be a term limit for a union president. That's what I think.
I think they should put Randy Credico or Randy Macho Man Savage in charge of the American Teachers Union. They would do a better job than Randi Weingarten.
Yes. Let me go on with this. Thank you for your observations are right on target. So, I have some issues. And my issue is there's plenty of work here, Randy. There's plenty of work here. The study led by the MUSC researchers finds long-term mental health issues following Flint water crisis. Not only mental issues, but developmental issues for kids. The problem with lead poisoning in water is that it is going to diminish the development of each individual. This is a long-term crisis. This is a health crisis. And here they are, they're suggesting that they're going to be able to give health care to the children in Ukraine, that are dealing with trauma. And I was just like, right now, I don't know how you can provide this kind of guidance when we have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of children that have been poisoned by the water in the United States, and their long-term consequences that will affect their learning. So the next thing I have a problem with, I want to know, when did Randi Weingarten or AFT go to Flint, Michigan? When did Randi Weingarten and AFT go to the border and look at the kids in the cages and help them? These photos of immigrant children caged by the U.S., these were taken in 2014. And who was president in 2014? Kids, who was president in 2014? That's right, Barack Obama. These cages were implemented by President Obama and Joe Biden. Where is AFT? I actually wrote to them. I asked them, I said, can you show me the last time that Randi Weingarten or AFT representatives were at the border, were in Flint, Michigan? The other concern that I have is U.S.-backed foreign intervention has led to the disaster in Haiti. Are they going to support the educators in Haiti, or are they going to have to wait until the Haiti union teachers say, hey, can you come and talk to us? So those are my concerns. Anything else that you want to add to this?
No, I think you summed it up very well. It makes me sad because, my mom's a teacher. I love teachers. Teachers formed me as a person. And to see the person claiming to represent and stand for teachers on the national level, as I said, turn around this phrase, money for jobs and education, not for war and occupation, and actually play a role where she's promoting a war. What other purpose did her trip serve other than to whip up support for sending billions of US taxpayer dollars to the Ukrainian side of the conflict when that money could be invested in schools here in the United States? I mean, you're talking about Flint, all of these instances of places where money, US tax dollars, could go to actually improve the material conditions of people here. And instead, this is what has she ever been to Flint? When was the last time?
You know what?
Any inner city where children and teachers are protesting against budget cuts, where teachers are paying out of their own pockets to buy crayons and supplies for their classroom. When was the last time she did any of that?
Well, I was curious, and I reached out to Alex Crook, the author of the press release that I read earlier, and I asked him, I go, can you explain? I wanted to know a couple things. I wanted to know how much money was spent on this. Where did the money come from? How many representatives from AFT went there? How did they inform their membership that they were going to be utilizing their time to go to Ukraine? I was curious. I also wanted to see links or documentation. When's the last time AFT representative or Randy Weingarten were in Flint, Michigan to discuss and help the teachers with the crisis? When was the last time AFT or Randy Weingarten was at the border helping the children? I wanted to know, so if you're going to make this big, you know what? I think I would have felt better if she had gone as a private citizen. I wouldn't have taken issue. But what she was doing is she was saying that the Ukrainian unionship, they had contacted her and that they wanted to go and support them. I've got no problem you supporting internationally. But right now, we are struggling in public education. And I think, that's a part of the design.
What about teachers in Puerto Rico? What about teachers in Florida that was just hit by a natural disaster?
That's a great point.
Hurricane. Why not go visit them?
I feel like Puerto Rico is frequently abandoned by our government. Why is that?
Maybe it's because the Biden administration didn't want her to go and shed light on the struggle of people actually here in the United States, because that would be inconvenient for them.
It's inconvenient.
Hey, we're going to see you in Miami, West Palm Beach, Denver, Palm Springs, Austin, Burbank. That's right. The Saturday after Thanksgiving here in Burbank, and lots of dates in Los Angeles in December. Go to jimmydorcomedy.com for a link for all our tickets and join our premium program when you go there too.